My buddy Kevin just bought a house. He thinks he did the responsible adult thing. He thinks he finally stopped, quote, throwing money away on rent. He's about to lose more money than he's ever lost on anything in his life. And the worst part? The math says he did everything right. The median home in America right now costs about $429,000, all-time high. To afford it without going house poor, you need to make around 107 grand a year. The typical American household makes 84, so the median family cannot afford the median house. That's not a Kevin problem. That's a math problem, and it just got worse than it's looked in 40 years. I'm Max. On this channel, we run the math on the financial decisions millennials make emotionally, and few decisions are more emotional than this one. I've watched friends, family, and frankly myself get talked into the biggest purchase of our lives by a feeling instead of a spreadsheet. Subscribe button's right there if running the actual numbers is your kind of thing. Costs you nothing, which, given that nothing else about housing is free right now, feels appropriate. Here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the break-even cliff that turns buying into a money shredder the second your life isn't frozen in place. I'm going to prove that Kevin, who bought, is going to be poorer than Sarah, who rented, even though Sarah wasted money every single month. And I'm going to give you the one number you run before you ever talk to a realtor. The number that tells you whether buying right now is brilliant or financial self-harm. Because here's the part nobody selling you a house will ever say out loud. Meet Kevin. Kevin makes 110 grand. Good income. Top quarter of the country. Kevin did the thing everyone told him to do. He looked at his rent, $19.50 a month, and he did the calculation that has bankrupted more millennials than any crypto coin ever will. That's $23,000 a year going straight into my landlord's pocket. I'm building his wealth instead of mine. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because that sentence, the "I'm just enriching my landlord" sentence, is the most expensive sentence in personal finance, and almost everyone believes it. So Kevin buys the median house, 20% down. That's $86,000 in cash, gone. His mortgage payment at today's rate, about 6.5%, lands at roughly $2,200 a month just in principal and interest. Then the part the mortgage calculator doesn't show him: property tax, insurance, which has spiked, and maintenance, which runs 1 to 2% of the home's value every year, meaning the day something breaks, Kevin is writing a check for 3 to 5 grand, and the house does not care about his feelings. Added up, and Kevin's $19.50 rent problem is now a $3,000 a month ownership reality. And I want to be honest with you about something, because I've lived this. I bought at the wrong time once. I told myself the same story Kevin's telling himself. Renting is throwing money away. Then the water heater went the same month the property tax reassessment hit, and I sat in a house I owned doing math on a credit card. I wasn't building wealth that year. I was building a very expensive education. So I'm not roasting Kevin from some mountaintop. I was Kevin. Here's the stat that should make you uncomfortable. The income you need to buy a median home has jumped about 60% since 2022. 60. In a country where wages went up a fraction of that. The house didn't get 60% better. The math just got 60% more violent. But the payment isn't even the trap. The payment is the part you can see. The real trap is a number nobody mentions, and it's going to cost Kevin everything by year 3. We'll get there. First, let me introduce you to the person who's quietly winning. This is Sarah. Sarah makes less than Kevin, about 90 grand. Sarah rents the exact same kind of house Kevin just bought for around $19.50 a month. Everyone in Kevin's life thinks Sarah's the one making the mistake, but watch what Sarah actually does. Sarah's all-in housing cost is $19.50. Kevin's is $3,000. That's a gap of over $1,000 a month that Kevin is spending just to own. Sarah takes that $1,000 plus a month and the 86 grand she didn't sink into a down payment, and she puts it in a boring index fund. And here's the part nobody talks about. Sarah isn't throwing money away. Sarah is renting the house and buying the market. She's got the same roof Kevin has, and a brokerage account quietly compounding at the same time. A renter who invests that down payment money at a normal market return builds tens of thousands of dollars in 5 years. Money Kevin doesn't have, because Kevin's cash is trapped in drywall and a 6.5% loan. Now, I want to be fair to the buy side, because I can feel some of you typing, "Max, Kevin's building equity. Sarah's building nothing but a thank you card from her landlord." True, partly. In the first few years of a 6.5% mortgage, almost your entire payment is interest. Kevin is barely building equity. He's renting money from the bank instead of renting a house from a landlord. The difference is the bank's version comes with a broken water heater attached. Quick, before I show you the part that flips this whole thing, type your current rent or mortgage payment in the comments. Just the number. We're going to come back to it, and I'm tracking what this audience is actually paying. Trust me. Okay, the number nobody mentions. It's called the break-even horizon. It's the number of years you have to stay in a house before buying actually beats renting, before the equity you build build finally claws back the down payment, the closing costs, and the fortune it costs to sell. Right now, nationally, that number is about 6 years. 6 years. Why so long? Because buying a house and selling a house are both brutally expensive. You pay closing costs going in, and when you sell, agent commissions and fees eat roughly 8 to 10% of the entire value of the home. On Kevin's 429 house, selling costs alone are close to 40 grand. $40,000 to undo the purchase. So for the first 6 years, Kevin is underwater on the decision. Not his mortgage, the decision. If he sells before year 6, the transaction costs eat more than the equity he built, and he walks away with less than if he'd rented the whole time. And now here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. Because who, exactly, has the kind of frozen, unchanging life where they stay in one house for 6+ years no matter what? Not millennials. We change jobs every 2 to 3 years. We get relationships, breakups, transfers, layoffs, a kid, a better offer 2 states away. The median millennial does not stay put for 6 years. We are the most mobile generation in modern history. So the housing industry sells a product that only makes financial sense if you stay 6 years, to a generation whose entire life is built on not staying anywhere 6 years. That's not a coincidence. That's the trap. The 30-year mortgage was designed for a life nobody under 40 actually lives anymore. Stay 6 years. Maybe you win. Move at year 3, you lose. And nobody tells you which one you're going to be. So let's run it. It's year 3 of Kevin's home ownership, and Kevin's phone lights up. It's a job offer, another city, 20% raise, the kind of offer you don't say no to. Sarah, the renter, would give 30 days notice and be gone. For Sarah, this is just good news. For Kevin, this is a bill. Let's add it up. 3 years of mortgage payments, and because of that front-loaded interest, he's built maybe a sliver of equity. Then he sells. Agent fees and closing costs, roughly 40 grand, gone. The market in his area was basically flat. Home prices barely moved this year. Some markets actually dipped, so there's no appreciation fairy coming to save him. When the dust settles, Kevin's 3 years of building wealth instead of paying rent left him tens of thousands of dollars behind where he'd be if he just rented like Sarah and invested the difference. He didn't build wealth. He prepaid a small fortune for the privilege of being unable to move at the exact moment moving would have made him richer. And here's where the math gets genuinely violent. While Kevin was losing 40 grand to exit his house, Sarah's index fund didn't care that she moved. She took the new job too. Her money came with her. It compounded the entire time. It will keep compounding while she sleeps. Kevin's wealth was bolted to a foundation in a city he no longer lives in. Sarah's wealth fit in a phone app. Now, does this mean nobody should ever buy a house? No, and I mean that. If you are genuinely going to stay 7, 10, 15 years, same city, same place, roots down, buying still wins. Over 30 years, the homeowner does come out ahead. That's real. A paid-off house at retirement is a beautiful thing. Buying isn't the villain. Buying right now, before you know if your life is going to sit still, is the villain. The house isn't the mistake. The timing is. Which brings us to the one number you run before you ever fall in love with a kitchen. Here's the take-home. The one tool. I call it the 5% number, and it settles the rent versus buy fight in about 10 seconds. Take the price of the house you want, multiply by 5%, divide by 12. That's your true monthly cost of owning, the part you never get back. Property tax, maintenance, and the money your down payment would have earned if you'd invested it instead. On Kevin's 429 house, 5% is about 21 grand a year. Divide by 12. Roughly $1,800 a month in pure, unrecoverable ownership cost, before you've paid down a single dollar of the house itself. So the question becomes simple. Can you rent the same home for less than that number? If yes, renting probably wins right now, and it isn't close. If you can only rent it for more, buying starts making sense. Run that on your own city tonight. Pull up a house you'd actually want. 5%, divide by 12. Then check what it rents for. For most millennials in most markets right now, the rent number is lower, which is the math telling you in dollars that the responsible adult move is the expensive one. That's your next 24 hours. Not should I buy. Run the 5% number on one specific house. Let the math talk instead of your feelings. Remember Kevin from the start of this video? The guy who finally stopped throwing money away on rent? Here's what actually happened. He stopped throwing money at a landlord and started throwing more of it at a bank, a tax assessor, an insurance company, a maintenance bill, and a real estate agent who took 40 grand to help him leave. He didn't escape rent. He upgraded upgraded to a more expensive, less escapable version of it, and bolted his savings to a city he doesn't live in anymore. So here's the real choice, and it's not rent versus buy, it's this. In 6 years, you're going to be 6 years older either way. The only question is whether your money spent those years compounding in something you can carry, or trapped in something you have to pay 40 grand to walk away from. Buying a house isn't wrong. Buying one right now, before your life holds still, is how a responsible decision quietly becomes the most expensive mistake you'll make this decade. Okay, 2 things in the comments before you go, and I read every single one. First, you tell me, Kevin's sitting on a job offer in another city at year 3, 40 grand to sell, basically no equity built. Does Kevin take the job and eat the loss, or turn down a 20% raise to protect a house? Tell me what you'd tell him. He's basically reading this. Second, and be honest because I went first earlier, what's the most you ever spent because someone told you renting was throwing money away? The deposit you lost, the house you bought at the wrong time, the repair that gutted you. I bought at the wrong time once and paid for it with a credit card and my pride. No judgment here. Drop it. I read every comment, every single one. The patterns in this audience are starting to genuinely surprise me. Run the 5% number tonight, and whatever you do, don't be Kevin.